In this video, I'm going to talk about how bodybuilders age and how to prevent it. Here you see how I changed in the approximately 2 decades after age 45. Although it's clear I did lose some muscle mass, I didn't lose nearly as much as many bodybuilders do. And for a 63-year-old, I'm in the top 1% physique-wise. Many young lifters just assume that the reason old people at their gym are in such terrible shape is that they're lazy or stupid. If this is you, you better be prepared to eat humble pie as you get older. First of all, the muscle turns to fat myth has zero basis in science. Adding muscle mass increases your metabolic rate, which helps you keep fat off. Now, I can speak firsthand of how the aging process affects bodybuilders because I've seen it in myself. Right about now, commenters are going to start mentioning names of bodybuilders over 60 with amazing physiques. Not going to happen naturally. Let's talk about performance-enhancing drugs. Teenagers with their supple arteries, their low blood pressure, and their good cholesterol can get away with taking massive doses of steroids. But when they get in their 30s and these things start to take a toll on them, they die. There have been many fitness influencers in their 30s who have died because of steroids. Of course, I always claim it's like some rare disease, but we all know it's steroids. Over the age of 50, performance-enhancing drugs become even more dangerous because of the hardened arteries, the higher blood pressure, the worse cholesterol levels. I can almost guarantee you when these over 60 bodybuilders go into their doctor, that their doctors tell them that they need to stop or die. Let's start by looking at why it's harder for older people to gain muscle. First and most obvious is hormone levels. People over the age of 60 do not have the same hormone levels of an 18-year-old. But a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that if someone over the age of 60 does testosterone replacement therapy that gives them the levels of an 18-year-old, that they can gain muscle like an 18-year-old. This is not the case. The second problem of gaining muscle when you're older is that skeletal muscles simply don't respond to training as well when you're older. You can take an 18-year-old and a 70-year-old who have never lifted before and put them through the same program, and the 18-year-old will have incredible gains compared to the 70-year-old. They'll both gain muscle and strength, but the 18-year-old will leave the 70-year-old in their dust. The third reason it's harder for older people to gain muscle or retain muscle is one I'm personally very familiar with: joint problems. When you have a bad shoulder or a bad knee, you just can't push it. And if you can't push it, it's going to be much harder to gain muscle or maintain it. I have no cartilage in this shoulder, and I actually am going to be getting a full shoulder replacement this fall. And I look forward to that because I hope that I will be able to regain some of the mass I've lost in the last 10 years because I've had to cut back so much on my chest and shoulder training. The fourth reason it's harder to gain muscle when you're older is because your recovery time is longer. Now let's look at the reasons why it's harder to stay lean when you're older. There's 2 reasons. The first is pretty simple. All you have to do is look at the Harris-Benedict equation to see how age affects the BMR. Let's take two people, a 20-year-old and a 65-year-old. In the equation, you see you take 6.7 times the age and subtract it from the BMR. So for a 20-year-old, you subtract 135 calories. For a 65-year-old, you subtract 439 calories. That's a difference of 304 calories. Now, that may not seem like that much, but if you continue to eat like you're a 18-year-old when you're 65, that extra 304 calories will add up to 32 pounds of fat gain in just 1 year. The second reason that older people have lower metabolic rates is that they have less muscle mass. Muscle is very expensive metabolically to maintain. So the less muscle mass you have, the lower your BMR. The third issue why older people tend to gain fat is one I'm personally very acquainted with. Again, joint problems. If you can't walk or bike or swim, it's really hard to maintain your body fat or to cut. I've had some knee issues over the last 6 months that put me in a wheelchair and made it so I couldn't walk. And I have shoulder issues that have prevented me from swimming. So it's been really difficult for me to lower my body fat. I've got it under control now, and I hope to be at 7% body fat by the time I get my shoulder surgery. For a 63-year-old, I'm in the top 1% physique and health-wise. How did I do it? Easy. Remember that it's much easier to gain muscle in your 30s than it is in your 60s. It's also much easier to maintain muscle mass than it is to gain muscle mass. If someone who'd never trained before started lifting at age 63, there's no way they would ever have a physique as muscular as mine. The secret is to get a running start. Try to reach your natty limit in your 30s or 40s. And then what that does, because it's easier to maintain than it is to gain, once you get up to your natty limit, even if you have joint problems or issues, the light workouts you do help you maintain or just have a very slow decline, which still will put you above 99% of your peers. And because you're more muscular, your metabolic rate is higher and you'll have an easier time staying lean. This is exactly why I cringe at the new Ozempic kind of weight loss drugs. People are losing all kinds of muscle mass using those drugs, and that is not something you can afford. It might make you lose weight, but you will have a horrible time keeping it off long term because of the muscle mass you lose. Cling to your muscle mass. It's precious. The second way you can keep this from happening is to preserve your joints. As I mentioned, if you screw up your shoulder or your knee and can't do regular workouts or intense workouts, then you're going to lose muscle mass. So please check out the video description where I have links to videos talking about how to do workouts that are joint friendly. So there you have it, how to help prevent age-related declines in muscle mass and body fat. Thanks for watching. Auf Wiedersehen.